Welcome to the Geeky A Go-Go podcast, a weekly podcast where we dive into all things you beautiful geeks love. Movies, TV, comics, cosplay. If it's in the pop cultural zeitgeist, we'll talk about it here. I'm Anthony Pizzuto. Let's get this party started. Joining me today in the Go-Go is the best Imperial Guard this side of the Death Star, Mr. Chris Nitro. Chris, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And Chris Nitro, is it Nitro Chris or Chris Nitro?
Chris Nitro is fine.
Chris Nitro is fine. All right, thanks, Chris. Also in the Go-Go is the savior of turtles, the finder of paths, the man from the other down under, and by that I mean Texas, is Mr. Eric Ho. Eric, say hi.
Hey, everybody, and we will not talk about the turtle story. Goodbye.
We'll save that story for another time. And rounding out our band of misfits, the guy who puts the dirty in Jersey, Mr. Tim Boylan. Tim, what's happening?
Oh, hey, how's it going? Last and probably least, I would assume.
Oh, come on. Don't sell yourself short on that one. All right, boys. Before we dive into today's topic, how's your week been? What have you guys been up to? Tim and I had lunch on Friday. Chris and Eric kind of bailed on us. What you guys been up to?
I started holiday decorating, just taking advantage of the good weather here in November.
There you go. Nice. All right. Are you as hardcore about your holiday decorating as you are your Halloween decorating?
Yes, I am. I'm the National Lampoon of my street, and people come from wide and far to come check out my house.
Well, just make sure the little lights are twinkling, Clark, okay?
Though I hear he hasn't won his street's holiday light awards, and it's a sore topic.
It's rigged. It's rigged. Totally rigged.
Oh man, can we vote for you? Do we have to be taxpayers in your town, or like can we just kind of like stuff the ballot boxes?
That's why it's rigged. No one else is allowed to vote. You got to be a resident of the town.
Yeah, we just need to go over to his neighborhood and sabotage his other neighbors. Is what we need
I'm with you, Tim. We'll be covert operation so you can win Christmas, Chris. What about you, Eric? What's been going on?
I tried to add wheels to my Han in Carbonite.
You're adding wheels to your Han in Carbonite?
Okay. Yeah, but I didn't figure out the balance situation, so now the wheels are back off. I was trying to make it more mobile. It's very heavy.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's making me sad, so I need to figure out some alternative.
Yeah, that sounds like a chore of a project. Tim, you have Han and Carbonite on your project list, right?
It is on my project list. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get cracking on that one of these days. When we have a few minutes in the shop.
We should do that. I want to do like a dual build so I can, make mistakes together.
I love making mistakes with you, Tim. How uncomfortable are we on that one? All right. Yes. So, and Tim, what's going on in your life these days? You have a big trip coming up, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We've been preparing to go to Walt Disney World next week, Thanksgiving Day.
And Tim, you are a season, is it called a season pass holder for Disney?
Annual pass holder.
Annual pass holder. How many times do you get down to Disney every year?
Depends. At least 3, sometimes 4.
Nice. And Chris, you go quite a bit too, as well, right? No?
No, we're taking advantage of the kids being young time. But we're not annual pass holders or anything like that. But we go like maybe once a year, once every 2 years.
Nice. Yeah, we haven't done that yet with the kids. One's almost 6, one's almost 4. I think we're like entering that territory, though. I think maybe like one more year, and then we're going to be taking the Mickey Express down to Orlando and doing a week at the Magic Kingdom. So, all right, let's get on to this week's topic. It's a kind of an exciting one. Whether you like it or not, folks, the Star Wars Holiday Special is a thing. It happened, and we all have to accept that it happened. The special aired on CBS on November 17th, 1978, and pretty much was a disaster out of the gate. You had psychedelic dance numbers, you had a saucy bee Arthur running and Mos Eisley Cantina, and some of the worst nightmare-inducing costumes. That's right, folks. We're talking about Chewbacca's immediate family. Sorry, Chewie. Itchy. I mean, come on, the names were terrible too. Itchy, Lumpy. It's almost like they're the 2 giants instead of the 7 dwarves. And Mala, who was Chewbacca's wife, and she looked lovely, but I don't know, the costumes for Itchy and Lumpy were like rejects from the ILM scrap pile.
What's Chewbacca's dad's name?
It's Itchy.
It's Itchy. It's Itchy. Yeah.
He was the reject dwarf from Snow White.
He looks like a like a
It's
Bigfoot.
frightening. I just did a rewatch of it, and it is absolutely frightening. So Tim, you suggested this topic, so I'm just going to toss it over to you. The holiday special brought a lot of folks a lot of heartburn back in '78 with its schlocky approach to our beloved space opera. So something must have come out of it that was good, right? Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I let my kids watch it today, and they've never seen it. And I guess according to them, nothing good came out of it.
So it didn't age well.
Yeah, I don't know that it aged that well. I would probably say the only good thing that came out of it, and probably most people would agree with this, was the first appearance of Boba Fett. I think that 10-minute cartoon was probably the best 10 minutes of the entire holiday special. But it is kind of like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's so bad that you just can't look away. So
it is pretty frightening. And Boba Fett, yeah, you're right. And that version of Boba Fett, wasn't that also the precursor to the Kenner Boba Fett action figure as well? Like the prototype with the firing missile that has stirred quite the controversy, or was that an Empire Strikes Back thing?
I'm not sure when the Kenner Boba Fett came out. I know there were two versions: a rocket firing version, which I believe is more rare because
Yeah,
it was a choking hazard for kids, and then the non-rocket firing version where the rocket is fixed in its jetpack.
right.
So
Yeah, I guess back in the '70s, nobody cared about choking hazards or anything like that.
yeah, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. So Life Day is the big holiday that the show kind of revolves itself around. Someone smarter than me explain to our lovely listeners what Life Day is. And why do Star Wars fans to this day, like in our chat, everybody was wishing everybody a happy Life Day. I know we accept a lot of things as the word of the maker, but why is it a popular thing today?
It's like a few days ago too, right? I think it's like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
It was on the 17th. Yeah.
exactly. So what is Life Day? Besides
So
having
it's a
Carrie Fisher sing you a song in a dark forest.
I mean, are we talking about the lore of Life Day or what
Yeah.
everyone's come to celebrate?
Well, let's do the lore and then how we celebrate it.
I think it's the lore is it started on the home world, and this is one of the things that absolutely bothers me from the holiday special. They pronounce Kashyyyk Kazuk.
Kazooks.
So they said it was a holiday that was celebrated on Kashyyyk, the home world of the Wookiees, and it's just a celebration of family and joy and harmony and values and all that stuff. Basically, what most Western civilization equates the holidays of just getting together with the family and whatnot. So they Star Wars fied it, by giving it to the Wookiees. It's morphed into since the holiday special aired on November 17th back in '78. That's now Life Day because that was our first introduction to it. I think at some point in the lore they said Life Day was every 3 years or something like that, but then it's become so popular that everybody celebrates it all the time because no one could add 3 to 78 and keep that going. I think that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in, correct me if I'm wrong, pass it off to the listeners.
Yeah, I think
people also want to wear those cozy red robes. Is why it's turning into an annual thing.
It's where the Snuggie originated.
Ah, the Snuggie, yes.
Yeah.
So Life Day is every 3 years. So was it last year? We got a new holiday special for Star Wars. Was it last year? A Lego Star Wars holiday special.
It's more than last year. It was
2020.
Oh, it was 2020. Okay. So are we now, because we're in year 3, are we due for another Star Wars holiday special this year? I feel like we would know that if we haven't heard about it now, of all people.
Modern times Life Day is every year.
Modern day. Okay, got it. Now I kind of had it on in the background. I didn't watch the full Lego Life Day or holiday special, but did it carry any of the original holiday special lore into it, or did it just kind of start fresh and the only thing it kept was Life Day?
Kashyyyk also showed up as a planet. I mean, still like a thing for Life Day. It still got something to do with Chewbacca's family.
Oh, okay, got it. So they did carry kind of the theme over. Has
I'll be
Lucasfilm?
honest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was
No, I
gonna
was
say
just gonna say, has Lucasfilm like officially said this is not part of anything? We never want to reference it again, because I know there was a period of time that they did not want to acknowledge its existence at all. But then 2020, you get a Lego holiday special, so they've acknowledged that there is a holiday and it's special. But like, are any of the things outside of like Boba Fett part of the canon now? Do any of you know?
so I hadn't seen the Lego holiday special in a minute, but I do know that in the holiday special, they kind of transport back and forth. Ray's in it, Kylo Ren, right?
Mm.
It's kind of. I mean, they do have some funny elements to it, right? There's lots of jokes in there. So does it incorporate any of the, I forget what Chewbacca's dad. What's his name again?
Itchy.
Itchy. Yeah, they do not incorporate Itchy wearing that, whatever VR it was, watching, Star Wars porn at the time. That
Oh
is
my
not
god.
in the Lego special for sure. But yeah, it's kind of more again, it's more holiday-esque, I would say.
Yeah, okay. Kind of going back to like the VR porn and all the weird stuff that goes on in the holiday special. I mean, it truly is an acid trip. But kind of, I'll start with Chris and work my way down how I see you on my screen. But what is your least favorite part of the original holiday special, and what is your favorite part, if there is one, of the original holiday special? Chris, I'll start with you.
I would say the extended musical segments or acid trippy parts of it. I myself didn't watch it until like maybe a year or two ago. I've always heard about it. I've heard it described. I've heard parts in here and there, and I could never bring myself to watch it. And then I forced myself to watch. Like, if I'm gonna knock this thing, I should watch it. So I watched it maybe a year or two ago, and I just had to fast forward through that stuff. I was like, this music is not for me. These sequences are not for me. I could not imagine having to sit down in front of an old tube TV and say, no, I'm going to watch this all the way through because I don't want to miss it. And again, it's a time frame where it's like Star Wars just came out, and this is the next Star Wars thing, and we're gonna have to wait a year or two to see the next film. I mean, I get it at the time, but I just those segments, man, holy cow! It's like just fast forward.
Yeah.
And then what did I like about it?
If
Um,
anything.
like maybe as Tim said, the Boba Fett introduction. I'm a fan of animation, so I like the style of how it was drawn and whatnot. It wasn't exactly the cleanest thing, but again, it was done in quick fashion to get it aired on television and make a quick buck probably.
Nice. Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Chris, or at least I think probably to the first 15 minutes of that show where there is literally no English being spoken. It is all just Wookiee speak, and you have to, I don't know, use your imagination to figure out what it is they're saying. They have that weird dance number on the Dejeric board. It's just, my daughter lost it in the first 30 seconds. She couldn't take it. So, if that's any indication, I think that's probably a good indication that's pretty bad. The best
Yeah,
part,
it's a slow watch.
yeah. The best part, I think, was the ending when it's over. That was kind of the best part. That was the best
Oh my
part.
god. I literally just watched it maybe like 2 hours ago or something, and I had forgotten that Carrie Fisher sings in it, and I love Carrie Fisher. I think she's wonderful, but she's not a singer by any stretch of the imagination, and singing to the tune of the Star Wars theme song is just it's a new level of absurdity that they went for there.
I think that she was actually high, if I'm not mistaken. If my research is correct, I read that somewhere that she was not sober.
Oh, well, that was a thing. I'm sure it's in one of her books.
Yeah.
Eric, What about you? Least favorite and favorite of the holiday special?
I did not hate it. I mean, like, honestly,
Whoa!
um, I think that I just giggled throughout the whole thing at how ridiculous the whole thing is. So, um, I mean, y'all already kind of pointed out, right? Like, the Boba Fett showing up was one of my highlights. I've loved seeing B Arthur in things. So, B Arthur in a cantina, that was awesome too. And look, like, people talk about canon, and I try to separate the movies from all these things that are kind of extra on the side.
Mhm.
And I try not to take it all too seriously, which I think
Smart,
is what
very
got me
smart,
through it.
Yeah.
very very smart to do that.
It's actually an interesting point. I was watching the Toys That Made Us last night, and it was the episode where they go through the Star Wars toys, and they were talking about how there's all these vehicles that kind of produced uh, after Empire Strikes Back to kind of fill in the time span. Excuse me, fill in the time span between Empire and Return of the Jedi when there wasn't a lot going on, and they kind of produced all the characters that were shown, and so they started producing these vehicles that you could have. They were called mini. I think they were called mini ships or something like that, but they were never seen on camera. But the copy on the back was like, well, while this was going on in Hoth, over here off camera was this battle happening over here with these vehicles. And Lucas was like, yeah, go for it, because they're expanding on the story that I had created. I being George Lucas, and I'm making money off of it. His measly 2.5 cents per dollar or whatever it was, but yeah. So I guess when you think about it that way, with the not just the holiday special, but even any of the Legends stuff that's come out over the last 30 years, 40 years that they've started kind of cherry picking and pulling into canon is really interesting, because I believe Mala, who was introduced in the holiday special, is actually canon now from one of the canon books. I know Lumpy and Itchy aren't there, but I believe Mala has been referenced in one of the books, and we'll have to check that, and we can verify that for our next episode. But yeah, so it's an interesting point, Eric. Yeah, I didn't like any of it. I'm with you, Tim. The first 15 minutes is the longest 15 minutes that you will experience. It is quiet. It is all grunting and growling, and there's that weird scene where not Itchy, Lumpy's the kid. Yeah, Lumpy goes out onto the deck and climbs up on the railing and walks along the railing like a tightrope walker, and he looks down hundreds of feet to the bottom of the ravine, and it's like, is something going to happen? And then, like, nothing happens. He just kind of appears and starts kind of spying on Grandpa, who's building a X-wing model kit from Ertel. It's just like all kinds of weird stuff going on. Yeah, I did a lot of fast forwarding in this one. So.
Yeah, maybe he saw Grandpa, looking at the environmental transporter, or looking at the VR section.
Let's see those dancing gals on the holotable.
Right.
Watch it, Grandpa Itchy. All right, so last question on the topic of the holiday special before we move on. If you were to pitch a holiday special to Lucasfilm, what would the core premise be, the core theme be? Like, what would be the core conflict in it? So in the original holiday special, it was trying to get Chewie back to Kazook to spend Life Day with his family. I don't recall the Lego one, but what would be your big conflict in a holiday special? Let's start backwards, going up. Eric.
And I'm always at the camp that we don't hear enough about the life and a day in the life of, like, those Imperials. And I would
Mm-hmm.
love to see what the holiday was like for these guys, and how all these pesky rebels ruin every one of their holiday celebrations.
Love it. Love it. Good one. All right, Timothy.
Yes, sir. I think the backstory with Chewie's kid and his wife was just kind of maybe too much, and I might have maybe centered it around maybe more the core characters, right? all the rebels, and if we're talking about family and they just defeated the Empire, right? Like, let's kind of celebrate it maybe a little bit differently, and I don't know, maybe take a little bit of a different approach there. I don't know. I just don't necessarily think that we needed. That's probably one of the things that made it terrible, was all this weird backstory with his wife, his Itchy, the kid, all this random stuff that is not necessarily what people, I don't think, wanted to see at that point in time. So
Sure. Got it. All right. Cool. All right, Mr. Chris, Mr. Nitro.
I mean, some of my favorite Star Wars as of recent is all the stuff that's derived from Rogue One. So in that dark vein of Star Wars and whatnot. So like kind of like I would like a story told in kind of a struggle for the family to be together. A family doesn't have to be anybody specific. It could be on the Imperial side. It could be on the First Order side. It could be a rebel or resistance. Something where all this stuff is going on and how's it affecting people day to day, and everyone just wants to come together and maybe celebrate a life day. In the canon, so to speak. We haven't seen that really, other than the Legos, which it's not really the canon of Star Wars. It's something fun, for the kids and whatnot with the Legos, but something within the canon, in that darker vein.
Yeah, canon adjacent is what I think of as Lego canon adjacent.
Mhm.
But I dig that, and I liked what what Eric was saying about seeing like the Imperial life, and I got to thinking about. Did you read Catalyst? It's about Lyra Urso and Galen Urso, and it's that time period before Rogue One where Galen is working with Krennic, but it's a very like almost like a family drama, almost like a family serial drama, and it's really cool. And you kind of, Chris, made me think like, from their perspective, they're a family. One of them is working for the Empire unwillingly, kind of. They're raising a daughter who knows nothing really about this, but they're raising her to rebel. And what were the holidays like for that family? So that's I like the dark side of family holidays in the Star Wars universe. All right, I think we've had enough about the holiday special. Good topic, Tim. I'm very proud of you. So all four of us need to start kind of noodling on what our next topic is. And if you have a recommendation, if you're listening to this and have a recommendation on what we should talk about next time, shoot us a DM on the socials. We're at Geeky A Go pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Shoot us your recommendations. All right, enough about the holiday special. Chris, I'm punting it over to you for your special segment.
This is the introduction, as our first podcast here, to the first time we're doing this segment. So we'll see if it sticks in for the long run. But we're calling this "What You Watching." So we'll go in reverse order as Anthony called it before. We'll start with Eric. What you watching?
I just finished watching The Creator, which I wonder why I hoped to watch in theater, but I just never got a chance to. But I just finished watching it. It's from Gareth Edwards. If you guys know about it, check it out. Wonderful director who did Rogue One, and so it was really nice to get to see a Rogue One-esque story about some relevant topics around AI and robots and all that kind of good stuff. So really enjoyed it.
Eric, where was that? Where did you watch that at?
I watched it on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, cool.
Nice.
I'll have to check that one out. Thank you.
Tim, you're up next.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't been watching too many shows recently. I did go to see the Marvels last week, which I thought was really good. So if you guys have recommendations, maybe shows I should get into, let me know. But I thought the Marvels was good. Thought the comedy was pretty much on point. Definitely on par for Marvel, and I think the length was also pretty good too. I think it was a little over an hour and a half.
Tim, did you watch the TV show for Miss Marvel?
You know what? I should probably do that. That's probably a show that I need to watch.
If you enjoyed the movie, a lot of the humor shows up in Miss Marvel, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, then that's what I shall do.
Cool.
How many episodes was that? I it was on my radar. I had the comics that were coming out before the series aired, but was it a lot of episodes, or was it like one of those like limited series?
It wasn't crazy. It was let's see, 6 episodes.
Wow. Yeah, that is nothing crazy.
Yeah,
I'll definitely have to check more.
Miss Marvel is from Jersey City, and I used to live
Yep.
in Jersey City, and I love it. That's why I wanted to watch it.
So, do you know Miss Marvel? Doesn't everybody in Jersey City know
I mean,
everybody?
I knew her. She didn't know who I was, so
And then I'll go next. I've been watching, almost done with it, on Netflix. The House of Usher, the Fall of House of Usher, I think is actually the title. Um, I'm a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, and it's basically a retelling of his stories in a modern, family setting and whatnot. So there's little hints of here and there. It's not exactly verbatim, quote the Raven nevermore kind of deal, but there are ravens involved, and each episode kind of touches on one of his works, and lots of gruesome stuff for those that are in that like that kind of stuff. Anthony, uh, Anthony does love a bunch of horror. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Not because Mark Hamill's in it. I know we're all Star Wars fans here, but that's not why I watched it. It's because I'm an Edgar Allan Poe fan. Highly recommend it. And kicking it off to Anthony to finish it up.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I actually just started watching Fall of House of Usher as well, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Mark Hamill in it. I didn't know he was in it, and I didn't know much about it outside of Edgar Allan Poe's novella. So I have to finish it. I'm only through episode 1. And then speaking of Mark Hamill, so I for those of you who don't know, I fly a lot, and so I watch a lot of things on my iPad when I'm on a plane. I'm working my way through, brace yourself, Star Trek Next Generation. It's a commitment I made to a very good friend of mine. He gave me a list of about 150, it seems like, episodes, so I don't have to watch the entire whole series.
no,
But I've
you
been
have to
chipping.
watch the whole series. Why are you
No,
skipping it?
he's cherry picked the correct episodes for me to watch, because I tried watching like straight through, and I got to like episode 3 of the first season, and they got into the Ferengi, and it made me. I was like, this is why I hate Star Trek. These
The
stupid alien
Ferengi is the
creatures
best
with
thing
their
about Star
really
Trek.
crappy. Oh, it was awful, awful. And I was like, no. So then I just stopped watching, and then he's like, no, here's a list. And it was very curated. I don't know if he put that list together or what, but anyway, so I've been chipping away at that on my flights. And I will say, it's actually not that terrible. I've always been anti-Star Trek. I've been pure Star Wars, but yeah, so the Star Trek Next Generation is what I'm chipping my way through. But also, speaking of Mark Hamill, I watched The Machine on my last flight, and oh my God, that movie is hysterical. I was that person in my seat chuckling and laughing the entire way. I think I really annoyed my neighbor, but it was so funny. So I have to consume some more of Bert Kreischer's stand-up work because it was just a treat to watch. So yeah, all kinds of good stuff. So I need to finish chipping away at the Fall of the House of Usher. All right, good recos, gang. All right, so that's all we have this week. So make sure you follow us everywhere at Geeky A Go Go on Instagram, Facebook, and X, or Twitter, or whatever it's called these days. Subscribe or follow to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. We're going to do this again very soon. Until next time, you stay geeky, Internet.
Bye.